Hello.
The person I'm going to interview today is someone very special to me. If I was to try to tell the stories and name all the humanitarian acts and random acts of kindness that she's done, I'd be talking forever. But you all have the pleasure of hearing the recollections directly from the source. Please give it up for my favorite person, my mom, Mrs. Lily Ward.
How you?
How are you?
I'm fine. How you doing?
Yeah.
Yes.
You ready to go down memory lane for a little while?
Most definitely.
Okay. Well, the way it works, I'm going to ask you questions. We're going to talk about a story that you can tell us. I chose you. I think that you are a person who's made, who's impacted people's lives in many ways. Like I said, I can go on forever, but I like to hear something that stands out for you, that's very important for you, that you think that you've kept with you and can share with others. I know you have a lot. I've heard a lot of them. Okay, so we're just going back and forth.
Okay.
Okay, you ready?
Sure.
All right, well, I'll be simple. Tell me a time where you had a non selfish act.
Okay, and I'll bring you back to one of my youthful years.
Okay.
I'll go back. I was in the military, went through, I was 19 years old, went as a medic in the military, just getting out, proceeding to go, well, just finish up my paramedic, getting out into the real world. Got a little job as a setter in the elderly nursing home where I would sit with the elder and wanting to go into LPN school. So I worked as a part-time setter, as I stated. So I would go
What's a sitter?
where you would sit with them, feed them, give them their medications, and put them to bed in the evening.
Okay.
And so I had an elderly lady at the age of 90 years old. I would get there during the lunch hour time where they would be eating lunch, and I would just make sure that she was eating her food, cut up her meat, or serve her if she had difficulty bringing the spoon to her mouth, just to make sure that she ate all her food right.
Yeah.
And there would be about 4 or 5 around the table, and I would be the only. And I am going to proceed to bring my color in because it did play a big part of that situation. I was the only black setter, and that seems to cause a problem with one of the clients that was paying money as a client at the institution. She did not like the fact that a black setter was at her table, and unfortunately, my client was very pleased with me. So she would always tell me not to pay that young lady any mind, which I didn't. I didn't take it as nothing personal. And lo and behold, one day we're sitting at the table, and that particular client who did not like the idea that a black lady was at her table, she had her white nurse that was there. And I happened to be looking around at the table, and I noticed her fanning because she was unable to breathe. She couldn't exhale or anything, and I know there was a problem. And I look at her nurse, and her nurse was very panicky, didn't know what to do. So I remembering my skills of as a medic, I got up and I proceeded. Okay, let me get my hammock maneuver.
It kicked right in.
Kick right in. Okay, so
Yeah.
I got up and I go put my arms around her and I give it a first thrust and nothing happening. So I say, okay, let's try a little harder. And of course, after I did it the second time, a big piece of steak launched out across the table, and her color started coming back, and she began to cough, and she noticed me looking over her. She went to scratching my hand. I'm like, okay, she's doing fine.
She coming back around
Right,
to her
so
old self.
her
Yeah.
old self again, right? So, and her nurse started feeling a little comfortable. So as I'm moving to go back to my client, she looked and she said, I'd rather had died than for your black hands to be around me. And I didn't say anything, and I went to sit with my client. So she said, oh, I thank you so much, you know. I didn't say anything but smile with her. And so she was like, don't worry about her. She's just a mean old so and so. And but I felt good about it because I felt like I had just saved a life.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And
it
that was the
made me feel
first?
that was my first.
Okay.
I'm like, geez, I saved a life. It really does work. So I felt good about that.
Okay, okay. Um, what would you say you gained from a situation like that?
Well, I gained that to know that I can actually do this. You go through school. I mean, I used to fall asleep in class on everything. So, and then you see this on TV and you see this in class, and you never really think you'll get to actually be utilizing those skills.
Yeah,
And for me, my grandfather had just recently died from a situation where it was just him and my grandmother in the home, and she didn't know CPR, and the need for that not being able to be utilized, his life was lost. So for me to be able to save a life in the use of it, it meant a lot for me.
yeah, yeah.
So
I can see that.
I
I can
felt
see
good.
that
I
it
felt
would.
real good.
Personally, um, well, maybe personally is not the best word, but since then, how would you say that this situation has impacted your life?
Oh, it just made me stronger. It made me,
It made you stronger.
yeah, because I mean, it took me farther in life to know I was in the right direction in my life,
Okay.
and continue to do as I do every day now. I went farther in life in the field. I just became better at what I did.
You saved a life, so you know you're in the
I knew
right
I didn't,
field.
right. And God only, and I say God because I took that as, you know, doing what I did as I got up from the table. I said, Lord, let me,
It kicked right in.
right.
Knowledge
And
kicked
so
in.
from that day forward, every time I went to save a life, I know
So
if I,
this has happened since.
oh, most definitely in the medical field, you're gonna see it every day.
Yeah.
And it's not a job that you just say, I'm gonna get paid for this, because every time the pocketbook, it don't show in your wallet.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the heart for it, don't go there.
So would you say that this time is so important, or you decided to share this time with us because it was your first time? It was the first life you saved, or was it also the surrounding circumstances of it? I mean, you had a lady who pretty much was harassing to you up until this point after this happened.
And the glory of it, how it made
Okay.
me felt afterwards. I felt so good as an individual, and then the evening of it, I had my client made me feel good. Her son come in that evening giving me flowers
Your
and
client's son?
the client, not my client, but the lady life who I saved. Her son came in,
Wow.
right, and
Wow.
just giving grace that I kept his mom alive, even though she may not have
Yeah.
felt it. He did.
I think she did. I mean, she was able to feel after
Most
this,
definitely.
She
So,
would not
and
been
all
able
of
to
that
have
made a
those emotions
difference.
and even be able to tell you that
That's
she'd
right.
rather die.
That's
You
right.
know.
I totally.
Okay. So you wouldn't say that, I mean, at the time you were younger, you were wide-eyed, optimistic. You were also very new to the field. It kicked in immediately of what you learned in class. You were able to use it. Would you say today, now that you're a more mature woman, you've had more life experiences, you've dealt with all kind of prejudice since then, and just other experiences that are kind of hard to deal with, would you say that you've become hardened by that at all?
Hardened? No. Hurt?
Hurt?
Yes. But stronger.
Yeah,
It made me grow.
I understand that.
It made me more acceptable to people.
Okay.
And when